I saw a video of you the other day. You were looking good. Have you started to dress up a little bit for these shindigs?
Welcome to the Up and Away podcast, sponsored by Commerce Hero.
Hello and welcome to Commerce Hero Daily number 38. How's it going, Steve?
It is going well, my man. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm posted up here in the park, here in beautiful Monrovia, California. You can finally see the this little city I'm always ranting and raving about. And we've been playing with different formats. I've done some walking episodes, which were a little bit of a nightmare. Been trying to do stuff outside. So we're outside but stationary today. And hopefully it's going to be good. It's a little windy.
Yeah,
but,
how is that wind? I know that was an issue before.
It's very windy, but I do have this mic here, which is sorry, I just touched it. It's going to mess things up. I do have this mic here, which has a bit of a wind cover, so it should be good. Steve has assured me that he's not hearing the wind, even when it gets insanely windy. So we'll find out. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see what Mother Nature deals us today.
Steve's situation is much less interesting. You're just inside. But I saw a video of you the other day. You were looking good. Have you started to dress up a little bit for these shindigs? You're looking smooth.
Ken, I'm always at my best, man. You're
always styling.
You can't actually see me through the camera, and so you imagine me back in my the olden days, back when we were in high school. Which,
I get it.
That wasn't my best.
I get
you
it.
You were the popular man on campus, though.
Well, you're not wrong about that. Okay, so topic of the day is full stack developers. So it's getting pretty windy right now, but I'm hoping that the sound quality is holding up. Huge shout out to Podcast Motor, who's been producing this podcast. They do the video, the audio, everything. They're awesome. I love them, super love them. Full stack developers.
Define it before you go on.
Define it. Okay. It's an interesting. What the word full stack means is that you can work on the full stack of technology from front end to back end. Now, when you really think about the word full stack, then the stack of technology is everything from front end to how things happen in the back end. How is the server configured? How are things being communicated from server to the end user? Infrastructure. I mean, it really goes all the way down to assembly code. So I think technically, if you want to talk about technical definition, what people usually mean, and it's something that's obviously grown in popularity, become a bit of a buzzword, maybe a little bit overused, is generally means that you can do front end and back end development. So okay. in the world of Magento e-commerce development, it means you can do front end themes and you can also do back end PHP development.
Gotcha. Does it mean several different types of languages?
Not necessarily, because if you think about a stack, like think about an e-commerce site, the stack is you've got front end, you've got theming layer in PHP, HTML, you've got the JavaScript stuff in the front. Well, you do have multiple languages because, for example, your front end JavaScript, you've got Knockout J. Now that's not a language, it's a framework. But the languages are going to be JavaScript, you've got your markup with HTML, CSS, and then you've got PHP. So you can be full stack with JavaScript, HTML, PHP. That doesn't mean you have to know Rails, right? Rails would be a different stack. Mm-hmm. So, and it's funny because I saw somebody, a job posting recently that they said, we want a full stack developer, we want PHP, HTML, JavaScript, Rails, Node, like Python, like everything.
Right,
and
right.
I think that's one of the things that clients need to be careful of is yes, of course, you want to have your cake and eat it. You want to have one person that can just do everything. But you can't ask for too much necessarily without having the budget.
Exactly. There are people that can do that, but it's going to be a much higher budget.
It's just going to be more rare. It's just going to be, you're going to want to have budget for it. So I think some people just want to hit the easy button. They go, oh, we need front end and back end. Okay, let's just have one person that does both.
Sure.
And in some cases that works. But there was a LinkedIn conversation, and I'll try to link it up. I can't remember the name offhand, but they had a good question about, the question was, what's the reason for this trend of more and more demand, more and more supply of full stack developers? And the question was, is it the companies that are driving this? Because the company says, hey, we just want to hire one person instead of two, front end and back end. Or is it the developers driving this because they want to round out their skills, they want to do different stuff, they want more variety in their work? So that was an interesting discussion in LinkedIn that I thought was cool, and some good nuggets came out of that we can tease out.
Yeah, and so from the developer point of view, when you're a developer, and I am, I dabble in programming, but I'm really not. I wouldn't call myself a programmer. Help me understand, if you're a programmer, are you generally a jack of all trades? Do you kind of know a little bit here and there? Like, well, I know PHP, so that means I should know how to code Magento. Like, is that kind of how developers think of themselves? And so they would like to call themselves full stack marketers? What's the case there?
Full stack marketers. Yes.
I'm sorry, full stack developers.
So, and that's the funny thing about the word full stack, is that it's a cool word. So it's just gotten used in, like, I like the word full stack founder. Like, you could be a founder that can do everything, and you just said full stack marketer. But I think that it varies. There's a lot of really smart developers that say, hey, I'm a back end developer. That's what I do. I don't mess with the front end, right? There's others on the flip side. Hey, I'm a front end developer. They can be some of the smartest developers I know are front end, and they say, hey, that's what I do. One of the comments in the LinkedIn thread that I thought was really insightful was that the reason why developers become full stack is because it's the only way to actually deliver a product. It's the only way to actually deliver something to the end user. So, and one of the reasons why that kind of clicked with me is because that's how it happened for me. For many years, I'm a back-end PHP guy. I don't know front-end. I don't know design. I don't know how to make things pretty. And when I was working at the Clean program, a merchant, we had some stuff going on. We had some people helping with front-end. Didn't work out. I could have hired somebody else to help with the front-end. But I was like, I just want to get this thing done. Like, there's something the business needs to happen, and I want to be able to get the thing out and done. And if you stay within the realm of I'm just back end, I'm just front end, sometimes that means that there's something, there's a feature, and you're done with your side of it, but you're waiting for some other goofball to do something on their end, and so nothing goes live. Right. And like, what developers I think care about the most is that their work, like, there's nothing more frustrating than working on something for months and months and months, and then it never goes live.
Of course.
So I think there's something there that developers and I think some people, they just kind of get frustrated and resentful of like, everybody sucks. Like, I did my part, but they didn't do their part. And I think people can get upset. And then I think other people say, screw it, I'm going to just do what I need to do to get this out. Mm-hmm. And then they end up developing that skill set.
So you're saying that generally developers would like to become a full stack full stack developer. We'll get to what I actually have a thought on that. That's why I keep saying that. But full stack developers, they like to become that because that'll allow them to present themselves as more valuable to their client.
Yeah, I think so in some cases.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is because this thing with full stack marketers, there's this whole, there's this debate that I've seen going on about, do you hire a full stack marketer who likes to call themselves a jack of all trades? They can, do some of your Facebook ads, and they can run Google AdWords, and they can do the YouTube stuff and the pre-roll ads and all that kind of stuff. Or do you want to hire somebody who is just really good at one thing? Because that's what, if they're great at, a bunch of things, if they're good at a bunch of things, they're not really great at anything. You know what I mean? Does that apply when it comes to when it comes to developers?
It's interesting because in some ways this is not a new debate. I mean, it's not a new topic. It's like it's been happening ever since, people hired other people. It's the question of, do I hire somebody that has skill A and skill B, or somebody that has both skill A and skill B? And it just it shows up in different formats, and there's different words that get used to describe it. But yeah, totally the same thing with kind of the marketing stack, right? Your pay-per-click, your organic, your da-da-da-da-da. And I think it's the same thing. Like people that, like, if all you can do, it's a little different though, because if all you can do is pay-per-click, let's say, you can still drive results for the client, right? Because, well, yes and no, because let's say that all you do is pay-per-click and you don't do creative. You don't actually build the ads, right? So in that case, you're at the mercy of the person building the creative. Whereas if you say, hey, we can do the creative and we know how to do the pay-per-click, fine tuning and all that kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden you can just deliver an entire result for the client.
Sure. However, or as the client, you can hire somebody who's really good you hire a really good designer for pay-per-click, and then you hire somebody who knows how to, get those Facebook ads optimized. And then you spend less on your ad budget because they know how to run the campaign versus someone who thinks they can do it all and really doesn't really know what they're doing, right?
Totally. I mean, and that last part at the end of the day is sort of what it comes down to, is if they know what they're doing.
Of course,
Because if they are full stack and they really know what they're doing, that's super valuable. If they just say that because it's a buzzword and things like that, then you're going to get screwed. And that goes for a full stack developer or a full stack marketer or any combination of skill sets. Yeah, it's an and for me, I have clients through Commerce Hero that are looking to. I just had somebody today that I emailed and I said, hey, are you looking for front end or back end? And they were really honest. They said, honestly, I'm really not sure. Which I like to hear that answer better. I like it better if somebody's honest about what they know, what they don't know, versus because the truth of the matter is the client, they're a business person. They don't really know exactly. Like they have they want to sell stuff. So if they need something, some front end or some back end fixed, they don't always know. So, you want to have some empathy for the perspective they're coming from and help them to So it's something I think about is like, and I even said it to them. I was like, so what's kind of the breakdown of front end and back end work? Because because there's a great front end person that happens to be available. And maybe you just have two different people. But then there's overhead in having multiple people too. So it's, it's not always trivial to decide between the two. It's case by case.
Yeah. So back to the original question, is this trend of full stack developers starting with the client or with the developer the client who wants to kind of, I guess, save budget by hiring one person to do everything? Or is it the developer who wants to, I guess, make more money or be more valuable to their client by being able to do it all? Where do you think that starts? Or do you have any hunch? Obviously, it's both in a little bit of a sense. But,
exactly. Yeah. I think it's both. I think it's an interesting question because it kind of forces you to, anytime there's a question where the answer is both, it kind of forces you to think a little bit if you try to answer it. I think that, there's several factors that are impacting this trend. I think there are more and more tools that are making front end more accessible to developers. Like, for example, when I started dipping into front end at my work in order to get a build done, I definitely, I looked at the browser support and I said, hey, we're going to support relatively recent browsers. We're not going to go crazy with IE6, IE7, which in the past, those were necessary things to do. And I think if I had to do that, I would have thrown in the towel and been like, screw it, I'm not going to do it. I'm back end.
Right.
Go find somebody else to do the front end.
Right.
So I think part of it is that the tools are getting better and front end is getting more accessible. for people to dip into, and also, you know, maybe if I had to pick one, I think I would say that's the trend, because, you know, is the trend coming from clients that want to pay one person instead of two? That's always been the case. I mean, that's always been the case, that clients want to pay one person instead of two. So I don't see how there's anything new that is making, you know, that impact the trend. What I see as new impacting the trend is tools getting better.